Many people in the West believe there's nothing after death because there's no memory of what's before life. Is there a difference between the idea of Nibbana and this assumed nothingness after death? It's really two subjects here. I've never actually heard that I can think of someone who believes there's nothing after death simply because there's no memory of what's before life. But it's a curious logic there. You can see the logic in it. If it were true that consciousness starts at conception or birth or whatever you want to believe, then doesn't it make sense that it would end at death? I mean, there's still not much logic to that because, well, I guess it would necessitate the question of, if there were something after, where would all the consciousnesses that were created at birth go? Well, anyway, that's not your question. It's an interesting logic. I didn't realize that many people had that belief. But the question is whether there's difference between the idea of Nibbana and a nothingness, which is assumed to occur at physical death. It's interesting. It's an interesting question that you catch me in, because you want to right away say, no, there's nothing different. But it's not true. It is and it isn't, but you're dealing with two different views of reality. Nibbana is based on experience, and physical death is based on materialism. So we don't believe in physical death because we don't subscribe to materialism. We believe in experience that is arising and ceasing from moment to moment. Nibbana is the cessation of that experience. Yeah, the cessation of the five aggregates, or the arising of the five aggregates. When there's no more arising of that. So it sounds a lot like death. It sounds a lot like what you would expect if you were a materialist to occur when you die. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a semantic difference, or maybe it's a trivial difference, but there's a different supposition there, because what you're thinking of something having died. So the idea that at death there is nothing is the idea that there was a being that has ceased, which was why I thought of sort of there being a distinction. But no, conceptually there's not much difference. But by making the distinction, you force the idea was to force you to look at it a little differently and stop thinking in terms of it's the cessation of me, like Nibbana is the death of me, the death of my experience, or something like that. Nibbana is an experience that can be realized for a single moment, can be realized for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, up to 7 days, and still come back. Still be followed by experience of the five aggregates. So Nibbana is not just an experience that causes the cessation of a stream of consciousness, or the permanent cessation of a stream of consciousness. It's an experience of cessation. That's what Nibbana is. So it's what people understand right away is what you talk about, this death. But it's inaccurate, because that's dealing with a different set of beliefs and views from Buddhist beliefs and views, or Buddhist theory and doctrine, which is experience and the cessation of experience. And so just want to say that it's a little bit more deeper than just being some kind of death.